The NBA is officially on fire at the moment. The rumors have turned into a full-blown beef, and Michael Jordan dropped a bombshell nobody saw coming. One of them was feared by legends, and the other one, well, I do not have much to say about it. MJ just hinted that Larry Bird was a better player than LeBron would ever be. Yes, the GOAT himself just said it. So today, we are breaking down every insane detail, what MJ meant, the plays and stats that prove Bird's dominance, and the points Jordan used to back this up. And if you think that is wild, wait until you hear the real secret MJ expose about Bird's injuries and how LeBron is tied into all of this. This will make you rethink everything you knew about the NBA. When the most competitive man in sports says he fears just one player in particular, it is not just flattery. So when Michael Jordan openly admitted Larry Bird was better, he was not talking about style points or Instagram posts. He was talking about sacrifice, the kind LeBron James has never had to make. Jordan saw Bird drag his body through injuries that would sideline most stars today. He saw a man who did not ask for load management or public sympathy. Bird showed up every night, no matter the circumstances. But LeBron, on the other hand, plays in an era built to protect him. He is the face of a league that sells entertainment first and competition second. Bird did not care about cameras or trending moments. He cared about winning. And that difference is exactly what makes them totally different. And if the GOAT himself admits that, then the conversation is over before it even starts. But hold up, before we wrap that up, you've got to understand why MJ felt that way. Because when you actually look at the world Larry Bird played in compared to the one LeBron is in now, man, it is like comparing a street fight to a light sparring session at the gym. The 80s NBA was no joke. It was physical, rough, and straight-up violent. Every drive to the rim came with somebody's elbow in your ribs or a forearm to the chest. And if you tried to get cute in the paint, you were probably getting dropped. Nobody was talking about load management. If you could walk, you kept playing. That was it. And Larry Bird lived for that. He did not just play in that era. He owned it. The man had back problems that would have put most players out for months. And he would still come out the next night and casually drop 30 on you. That is not just toughness. That is a different level of obsession. Now, fast forward to LeBron's era. The league today is built for highlight reels, sponsorship deals, and unnecessary longevity. I mean, there's a reason guys are playing 20 seasons now. The rules protect stars like they are museum pieces. Hand checking is gone. Hard fouls are out. Even Shaq said it himself. Because we have shifted away from physicality and shifted away from all that. And he is not lying. The modern NBA is basically entertainment basketball. And yeah, LeBron's so-called greatness fits that version of the game perfectly. He is one of the best in this era, no doubt, but is at every modern advantage from science to training, recovery tech, all of it. So if you drop LeBron into Bird's era, where defenders could straight-up body slam you at half court, this comparison could not even exist because back then, you could not just rely on speed and muscle. That is the world Bird thrived in. He was not the most athletic guy out there, but he did not need to be. He was the smartest and the most relentless. And 9 times out of 10, that was enough to break you. And the refs, they were not protecting stars. If anything, being a star made you a target. Dudes went after you just to see if you would fold. Meanwhile, LeBron grew up in a league that crowns its stars before they have even proved themselves. And that is what people forget. The 80s created legends. Today's game manufactures superstars. Bird did not need hype videos or a stacked roster. He did not need the cameras. All he needed was the ball and the will to break you with it. But here is what makes it even crazier. Bird did not come from a flashy background or some big basketball machine. He came from a small Indiana town, worked his way up through pure grind, and somehow still ended up becoming the heartbeat of the Boston Celtics. Before the fear and the trash talk, there was the resume, the part where he proved he could take over the league the hard way. In fact, if you look at the numbers alone, it is already ridiculous. I mean, 3 MVPs, 3 NBA titles, 12 All-Star selections, Rookie of the Year, and 2 Finals MVPs. But what makes Bird's story insane is how he got there. Because unlike LeBron, nothing about Bird's rise was guaranteed. This dude came from a tiny town in French Lick, Indiana, with a population of like a few thousand people and one gas station. Bird was not some media hype prodigy. There were not national cameras following him through high school. There was not some ESPN documentary calling him the chosen one. He was just a kid who worked construction and showed up to every game like it was his last shot at something bigger. Then came Indiana State. This was not Duke or North Carolina. This was Indiana State. Nobody expected them to even sniff a championship game. But Bird dragged that entire team through a run that ended with him facing Magic Johnson and Michigan State in the 1979 final, which, I should add, is the most watched college game ever. That rivalry basically shaped basketball for the next decade and more. And when Bird got to Boston, the entire franchise flipped overnight. The Celtics went from washed to winners the moment he stepped on the floor. In his rookie season, they improved their record by 32 wins. It is almost like immediately he joined them, everyone could feel something different was happening. At first, players respected Bird's game. They saw the fundamentals, the IQ, and the leadership. But then they started to fear him because he could talk trash like nobody else and back every single word up. He would tell you exactly how and where he was about to beat you, and then do it like it was scripted. And look, people talk about LeBron being dominant, but dominance built in a league where everybody else is soft does not hit the same as dominance built in an era that thrived on sheer competitiveness. Bird did not have LeBron size, but what he had was timing, vision, and a mind that played 3 moves ahead of everyone else. You could not speed him up, and you could not get in his head because before you even stepped on the court, he was already in yours. Even Jordan admitted Bird was one of the only players who truly scared him. Let that sink in. This is Jordan we are talking about. Bird was not chasing stats, followers, or highlight reels. He was chasing rings, and he got them the hard way. He led Boston to 3 championships in an era full of killers like Magic, Kareem, Dr. J, and Isaiah Thomas. Every playoff series was like war, and Bird was always in the middle of it, bleeding, yelling, and still hitting jumpers you could never anticipate. And what makes his resume so wild is that it is compact. Bird played just 13 seasons. That is it. But in that short time, he changed the entire DNA of the NBA. LeBron's resume is good, but it is stretched over 2 decades, different eras, super teams, and rule changes that favor offense. By the mid-'80s, everyone in the league knew the truth. You did not just play Larry Bird. You survived him. His stats tell one story, sure, but the way other NBA legends talk about him, that is a whole different level. And that is the part LeBron cannot touch, no matter how many records he stacks up. And here is where it gets even crazier. Because it is one thing for the fans to hype you up. It is another when the legends themselves start admitting their fear when your name comes up. And when you hear what these legends had to say about Bird, you start realizing this is not nostalgia talking. It is respect. Real, earned, old-school respect. Let's start with Magic Johnson. Magic and Bird were not just rivals. They were basketball's version of Ollie and Frazier. Every time they faced off, the entire NBA stopped to watch. Magic once said Bird was his greatest rival, the one player who could outthink and outplay him on any given night. Their matchups did not just define the 80s. They saved the league. 2 beasts dragging the NBA into the global spotlight. But between the two, Bird was the colder killer. And Larry Bird was just slicing and dicing them. And I said, I call home. I said, it's true about this boy. Gary Payton, one of the best trash talkers in NBA history, still calls Bird the most dangerous talker the game has ever seen. Bird did not talk for show. He talked because he knew. He would tell you exactly how he was going to score on you, then go do it right in your face. Payton later admitted this on the All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. He was the coldest dude I ever seen with that, man. And that is old man Larry, not even young Larry. Bird was 34, had a bad back, and was in his second to last season when Gary even came into the league. That is the kind of respect that does not come from highlights. It comes from fear. And it was not just guards or wings feeling it. Sean Kemp, who was a rookie back then, once talked about how Bird humbled him early on. Bird gave him that look, the one that said, "You are not ready for this," then proceeded to prove it. He let me know from the start of the game what he was going to do. He really did. He let me know. He for the game. He told me. He just shook his head at me. He said, "Man, it's going to be a long night for you." So what did he put up? I think he gave me what he gave me. I think he gave me 40. Kemp said that moment changed how he approached the game forever. And if you think that is wild, there's a game where Larry was being guarded by a rookie Dennis Rodman and kept yelling at Rodman's coach, telling him he needed to sign somebody good enough to guard him. And the closer Rodman tried to keep the bird, the louder he talked about being unguarded all game. Even Kobe Bryant, one of the most obsessive students of basketball ever, studied Larry Bird's technique religiously. Kobe respected skill, IQ, and mentality. And he said Bird had all three: the footwork, the angles, and the timing. And so I would always ask questions and try to learn as much as I could. Right. Bird was not faster or stronger, but he was always a step ahead. And for someone like Kobe to recognize that, yeah, that says a lot. And it does not stop there. Ask Reggie Miller, John Sally, Gilbert Arenas. When they were asked to pick between Bird and LeBron, they all picked Bird. Larry Bird is best, LeBron James at his best. Oh, I got to go with Larry Joe. I got to go with Larry Joe. I'm going to give you Larry Bird in his prime or LeBron in his prime. Larry Bird. Larry Bird would probably beat LeBron 1-on-1. Really, across eras, the story does not change. Every player feared Larry Bird. Now, compare that to LeBron. He is a great player. No one denies that. But you never hear legends talk about respecting him. Not even close. In fact, LeBron has spent most of his career telling people he is a GOAT. Try to convince everyone instead of letting his presence do the talking. That one right there made me the greatest player of all time, for some reason. And that is the difference. LeBron's dominance is loud, polished, and branded. Bird's dominance was quiet, personal, and unforgettable. So when the greats, the true greats, talk about fear and respect, one name always comes up first, and it is definitely not LeBron. In fact, let's be real for a second and stop trying to be safe and diplomatic with this. LeBron is not anywhere near as good as prime Bird. It is just that simple. When people talk about Larry Bird's greatest moments, they usually throw around words like clutch, tough, or old school, but that barely scratches the surface. Bird did not just show up in big moments. He created them. And if you want proof of that, roll the tape from May 22nd, 1988. Game 7. Watching from the sideline. Bird is open. Do they want him to take that shot? Celtics versus Hawks. This was Bird in full villain mode. Dominique Wilkins dropped 47 points, trying to drag Atlanta to the finish line. I mean, it was basically two guys trading haymakers for 48 minutes. But when the fourth quarter hit, Bird went nuclear. He dropped 20 points in the final 12 minutes. And I am talking mid-range jumpers, off-balance floaters, and even a three right in Wilkins' face. And guess what? The Celtics won 118-116. That Game 7 showed Bird's killer instinct. But 1986, that was him playing GOAT-level basketball. It was Game 6 against Houston. In Boston's final game, Bird racked up 29 points, 11 rebounds, and 12 assists, a triple-double that wrapped up the series and gave him his third championship. The Celtics won 67 games that year. And guess who was responsible for that? And we cannot skip the three-point contest trilogy, because that is just Bird showing off. In 1986, 87, and 88, Bird won all three. But it all started in the locker room before his first one. So he walked in, looked around at all the other shooters, and went, "All right, which one of you is coming in second?" Then he walked out. He did not even take off his warm-up jacket for the final round. And he literally shot the money ball, held up his finger before he even dropped, and walked off. Walk around. You might do a little something. Nah, you ain't got no. You shot yourself out in warm-ups. Talking about Leon Wood. He said, "No, you shut yourself out. Who's coming in second? Let's take the picture." And that is the thing. Bird's biggest moments were not random explosions. They were patterns every elimination game. And every time the Celtics season was on the line, Bird's numbers spiked. He averaged 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists in elimination games across his playoff career. Let's not forget the 1981 NBA Finals either. Bird was only in his second season, and the Celtics were down 3-1 against the Sixers in the Eastern Finals. They came back and won the series in Game 7, then beat Houston for the title. Bird averaged nearly a triple-double during that stretch. There's also the 1985 game against the Blazers, where Bird decided to play that entire game left-handed. He finished with 47 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists, and the Celtics won in overtime. Afterward, when a reporter asked why he did it, Bird said he was saving his right hand for the Lakers. See, every era produces talent, but not every era produces a player like Bird. And when you look back now, all those plays are proof. Proof that Bird was different. Because when you stack Larry Bird against LeBron James, and I mean actually put their stats side by side, not the highlight reels of fan edits, the truth starts to hurt a little. Start with the boards. Larry Bird averaged 10 rebounds per game, which is nearly 3 more than LeBron's career average. And Bird was doing that in an era that had Moses Malone, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Robert Parrish, and Charles Barkley. Then there's the free throw line. Bird shot 88.6% for his career, while LeBron hovers around 73%. And we cannot ignore the three-point contest that Bird won 3 times. Meanwhile, LeBron has been in the league for 2 decades and never even entered one. Think about that. The most hyped player of this generation never stepped up to prove he is the best shooter in a league that literally celebrates shooting. What about shooting efficiency? Bird hit 49.6% from the field, 37.6% from 3, and nearly 90% from the line. That is borderline 50-40-90 before that stat even had a name. LeBron's career averages are great, but Bird's consistency from all levels, especially in big moments, is what sets him apart. And if you want to talk about clutch, Bird's per 36 playoff stats tell the story. He averaged about 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. That is the thing. Bird's production did not inflate with extra possessions or softer defenses. It was earned through intelligence, positioning, and toughness. Bird did not have to chase triple-doubles. They happened naturally because he read the game better than anyone else on the floor. The man literally had 59 career triple-doubles, with many in elimination or finals games. So, yeah, LeBron has played longer. He has piled up totals. But he is not Bird, and even MJ had to let people know. Larry was that type of player that didn't care about fame. He gave his all, even when he was injured, and that's something this other guy never did. Come on, what more proof do we need? Bird never needed clout. He did not need Instagram likes, PR stunts, or flashy commercials. The guy just showed up every day and let the game do the talking. That is how legends were made in the 80s. Now flip it to LeBron. The dude is talented, but let us be real. His career has been as much about drama as basketball. Remember 2010, the decision? Yeah, fast forward a couple months ago, and he drops this corny decision. 2. This Hennessy ad that copies the old special. LeBron fans want to know where you're taking your talents this year. What's your decision? In this fall, man, this is tough. In this fall, I'm going to be taking my talents to Hennessy VSOP. People called it a cash grab. And honestly, yeah, it kind of felt like it. Then there's Bronny. LeBron's influence basically got this kid in the NBA because if we are being honest, there's definitely a much better player in some slum that is way better and more deserving of that Lakers spot. But of course, he is LeBron's son. That is what the NBA has turned into under LeBron's leadership. And just to spice things up, a social media personality, DJ Academics, exposed that LeBron had been cheating on his wife, Savannah, earlier this year. And this begs a question. With all this drama surrounding him, how is it possible for him to focus on the game itself? Meanwhile, Bird had zero of that. No cameras, no Instagram followers, no superstar branding. And that is the thing. Greatness is not just about rings or points. It is about integrity, work ethic, and influence. And Bird delivered on all of it. But LeBron has given us 2 decades of basketball tangled with stunts, social media, and drama that distract from the basketball itself. If you want a raw and unfiltered version of greatness, Bird still wins. No contest. And here is where LeBron fans usually jump in with the longevity argument. In fact, I am sure some of them will be in the comments talking about, yeah, but he's been playing for 20 years and still dominating. Sure, no one is taking that away. But honestly, lasting a long time does not automatically make you feared or respected. It just means you have more time to prove yourself, grind out stats, and collect